Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jennifer Sonko. And we hope that you had an amazing weekend and you're ready to conquer the week. And we're always excited to accompany you from Mondays to Thursdays from 9 to 10:30. And I'm here with my amazing colleagues, Ibrahim Abalde, as well as Mr. Momodou Mbouch. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And how was your weekend?
Yeah, it's good to be back here, Jennifer Sonko. I mean, it's another new week, another new challenge again. You know, but we are hoping by the end of the week, we would conquer the whole challenge and we'll break all the
challenge are
barriers
you talking about?
one by one.
What is normally your challenge during the week?
Life itself, it's challenge. I mean, waking up every day, I mean, to go and get it. I mean, getting it is a challenge. I mean, I'm talking about that challenge. Life is challenging you and you are challenging life. So at the end of time, you need to be strong to be able to conquer.
So the whole Suba thing, how do you deal with it? Because I'm Suba the family. A lot of people hate Suba. I know people who love to work in the afternoon just because Suba. What do you shower the family?
Suba you have to get used to it as an individual. Understand you? Man, you know, suba. Buneke ne danga mina 6 o'clock. Even so setut alarm.
Pour julli fajar
so
la wala.
Setut dara. Buneke ne 6 dafa jotenga So you need to get used to it.
Wow.
Although it's very difficult, especially you know nga baye sa lalbe. I mean, it's
dafa melni dafa am force Mr. Mbouch anga force bu ma wax ni comme suba soy dafa am force bu la dey hitcha that magnetic
gravity stuff, understand?
They'll be like, go back to bed.
Wow.
Or sometimes, you know what happens, Mr. Mbouch? Have you done this before? Like, for example, sa alarm bi, for example, nga set ko at 7.
Nga fay ko.
7 mo alarm.
Nga snooze ko.
Nga jël ko yobu wat ko 7:30. You keep doing that, doing that.
Man suma alarm bi, sus alarme, suma ko snooze sa after 15 minutes dafa alamat.
Nga jóg.
Understand nga? Why legi man I got used to it. Dama dey jóg before the alarm. Come tay. Dama jóg before the alarm. So ma fay ko bala mo alarm.
Okay.
So ma jógale ben yon. So it's getting used to it. You
so
understand? Lu gëna metti nak nekut affaire yi jóg suba bi. Embouteillage gi ci yoon gi. Mo gëna metti tira ci lal bi di jóg.
The whole process. Why you drive so?
Yes, why lolu sa mo gëna metti. Sometimes nag they feel ne ma park suma moto bi sa ma dox mo gën. Because there are distances.
How about to taxaw ci kaw tali bi di break moto?
Wow. Man bu nekkoon ne maa ngi dégg places like Talinding, diggante Talinding ak office bi fii. Dama ko doon runga. Duma mun a xaar sa moto. So gisee ñun ñuy ñëw ak moto because distance bi dafa sori. Because there is no use. I mean, traffic bi da ngaa gis road bi num dee demee, it's a very slow pace. So jarul sa ngay dawal moto because at the end of the time doo teel a àgga. So rungee moo dee gën.
So Mr. Mbouch, talk to us about your morning runs. You know, how do you manage it? Do you also have the vibe to go back to sleep sometimes?
Yes.
Everybody has that.
They fall for that. But really the key pour suba moy teel tëddi.
Okay.
Dum garaaw suma teel tëdd rek you call in the morning.
So going to bed early.
Going to bed early. That's the only solution really.
Actually, but Belder, what time do you sleep?
Mandal is man awma time to sleep.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm at 12. Sometimes I'm mun naa toog di seetaan télé bi boori 1 ma dem tëdda.
Nga eewuwaat the next day ban time?
Ma eewu boori 6.
Man tam I have a very bad sleeping
Wow.
pattern.
So man awma time tëdda su ma soonee nag sometimes mun naa ñëw ma wàcca liggéey su ma demee kër ma cob def lu ma def 8 o'clock rek pam tëdda naa ba suba. You know, so I don't have a specific time for sleeping.
Okay. So Mr. Mbouch, you same what time?
I don't know, generally 10.
10 is not bad, where 12 is late. One time I sleep 12 most of the time, but it's not a good idea.
Well,
because
maybe it's an age thing. When I was younger, I could do stuff like that.
But not anymore.
Xam nga generation bi daf dey change. Ñun time yi xale. Time boobu noonu. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. fekk lindem na. Understand? 9 o'clock mu ngi mel ni ñun soone time boobu 12. Daf dey mel ni comme teeluloo tëdda 9 su jotee tëdduloo da ngaa mel ni comme ëllëg na maa late school. So time baa ngi change léegi da ngaa gis xale yu toog sax di seetaan télé ba boori 11.
Waaye training la rek I guess. Yeah, so Ibrahim, do you want to take us through our African proverb?
That is what it is.
What is our African proverb?
Actually, I don't want to, honestly.
Why not?
But let me just try.
Why not? Bring a caprice. Bring a caprice there.
The chameleon looks in all directions before moving.
Okay.
Mom daf de affaire am dafa slow. Why daf de buy hell? You understand? So it's telling you you have to pay attention, you have to be attentive for you to be successful, you know, at some point, you know. To be attentive is very important. Mota schools at time where you jangal, you know, balaga cross the road, set left, set right, balaga cross.
Okay.
You know.
Yes. So Mr. Mboj, what does it tell you? The fact that it has to look in both directions, all directions, in fact, not both, all direction before moving, you know.
The bill they want the kakatarla.
Kakatarla.
I'm gonna adapt to its
environment. Wow.
So it's not simply caution, but adaptability as well. Then I get the time, haul, and adapting to your environment. I think it's important because of the chameleon aspect, isn't it? The nature of it. So I think that's what it is. Patience, caution, adaptability, that sort of thing. Which we do anyway, don't we?
Yeah. So for me, I think it's just, you know, sometimes as human beings, we can make decisions in a very hasty way. You know, we can just make decisions maybe based on emotions. You know, you did not research it well. For example, I want to start a business today, and I just didn't do my market research. I did not do my financial research, my product accessibility research. I did not do all of that. I just jump in and start the business because I think it's a business that can survive. And then later my business fails, and I realize that I did not look in all directions to be able to know if this is something sustainable. So I think it just has to do with our general life and how we should always look in all directions to make sure that we tick. Sometimes you can't tick all the boxes, but at least tick a few so that when damage is being done.
At least most.
Yeah, you know, most, so that when damage is being done, it will not be, you know, massive to an extent. Yeah.
Well, it's important to be cautious. I mean, to be careful. I mean, to think before even you talk. You know, all those things are very significant for an individual or the being to put into consideration. So, well, I think I agree with you, and I agree with Mr. Mboj as well. So, yeah.
So, trade fair mungi on right now. Luneka de happen Gambia. You know, trade fair mungi on. Mr. Mboj, do you take your time to normally visit there? Because I was there. I was there on Saturday to record a full show of youth dialogue. And, you know, people were coming in and out. Did you stop by to maybe buy a few things or check it out?
No, not this year.
Okay.
Well, last year I did. And it was mainly for the food.
The food, right? Okay. But
Yes,
did you get something from trade fair?
No, I went there. I was there on behalf of QCell. I think
about a week ago.
A week ago,
yeah.
I was there doing some giveaways for QCell. You know, the only thing I go enjoy at the trade fair is the buoy that they sell.
The buoy, body matter.
No, bu nekk ci pot.
Bobu dafa ne.
Bobu la de dem. Bobu moma de ngena
Just mom some the food, yeah.
I went there and I think I bought 2 of them.
Yeah.
You know, why some of our daily what probably is going to be for Tobaski shopping.
Okay, so you intend to use it for that?
Yeah.
Okay. When I spoke to the entrepreneurs, you know, mane affairs ne could work. You know, halis ne could flow.
People have people have this notion tab. Guess nga trade fair. Many people have the notion, okay, things at the trade fair would be very expensive because it's more of a very set up market bo hamne. Corporate market boo xam ne dañ ko set up in such a way pour ay bourgeois la ak booti fu ñoo dem. It's going to be different from the Serekunda market setup, you understand? So Serekunda market probably mun nga fa amee a cloth for maybe $1,000, but when you go to the trade fair you're going to buy it maybe for $5,000 above. Ñu bëri that's what they have.
Why?
But I think du loolu. You understand? I was surprised when a friend said to me, okay, gis nga latest haftaan yu ñu dee jaay nii haftaanu góor yu ñu dee jaay. Ma ne ko waaw. Mu ne you know, they are selling them at the trade fair for $2,500.
Okay.
and this is machine crafted
And CBT
design.
is how much?
You understand? I don't actually know the price outside because I didn't ask, but he said, you know, they are selling them there for that. So you can see how cost effective
But
it is.
generally, even putting aside the cost, a lot of entrepreneurs, for example, they're not using the trade fair to make it for sales, but they're using the trade fair as a form of marketing, so that after the trade fair, this is what they're doing, so they will actually go to your shop when they need something. So lolu tamit concept bobu tamit mungfa is more of a marketing strategy that businesses can leverage rather than actually jai lu nek sa bitig bi, you know, because I'm not Senegalese buma approach sa mo ne ma next trade fair du ma ñëwaat because neko ma di jai te dama jóge all the way from Senegal, face my pass, face my stall and everything. So we were having a conversation ma ne ko way legi nit ñi xam nañ li nga am available, so hidna so delo di nga mëna am customers, but I think lolu tamit you know should be made clear.
Networking
la networking la, you know, majority of the times networking la. So we will just go for a short break, and when we come back we'll head right on to the newspaper review. A lot of things happened last week as well as over the weekend. We will delve into that this day.
Webi na fitora gol no yabi te non kadi no moƴƴi kiwmoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa hendade mbuuɗi maɗin e o kiwmoni abke song a wawa nattinde mbuuɗi ma ɗum yaltina soda crédit soda kiw paɓa soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ina wawi kadi nuldude kiwmoni yoɓa belji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuuɗi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuuɗi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu kiwmoni customer care e 133 kiwmoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Bosonko. So, Ibrahima, the hottest topic over the weekend is the fact that there's a leaked audio of Fatoumata Jahumpa Cisse, who is the ambassador to South Africa. So, Fatoumata Jahumpa Cisse's private conversation, completely with an individual, talking about the National Assembly member for Sanjal's statement after the National Assembly on the Gala protesters. She was having a private conversation with someone, and this person decided that they would share this very private conversation to the public, and it's making rounds, even though she apologized, you know, for the leaked private conversation. But the damage has been done, like we talked about last week. When the damage has been done, it's very difficult, you know, to employ any form of damage control. But I think now with voice notes, Mr. Mbochman, ragal nade.
Well, you see, Janaba, regarding Fatoumata's,
leaked audio.
I mean, I think this is not even the first time.
It's happening to her.
Yes, there was a time, there's something that happened, and it was her audio again. So it's telling you one needs to be very cautious. I mean, the proverb talks about it. You know, we need to be very careful. We need to know our environment. You see, social media now is doing more damage than good. You understand?
Social media.
It's all about social media.
Wow.
People think now you can use social media to do a lot of things. You have to know. Once you send an audio or you send anything, either a picture or a video, there is a share button.
Why have there's a source? Hanga luta manenda issue be affaire social media because I'm not from Kumasi. First of all, mom voice note be kim ko send Mr. Mbuch. Dafa trust koko. Feel nane munna mo am ako private conversation.
Mota manela social media. Si social media.
Why ki kan la ni? Ki that's ko wara
social media.
It's important for you moitu. They send some sensitive information
on voice.
That we have to be very careful. Because 1 minute, muna nyo share sa audio, you know, muneka even buneke sa yo foge uloko wo nunu, or that was not how you want it to be. Mumel nunu. So we have to be very careful.
Mr. Bodli, how na de tenyaona?
this is the kind of world we're living in. There's no sentimentality about it. One just must be cautious. Yeah, you trusted somebody. When the person betrays your trust, what can you do? Well, I'm not going to be moralizing about it. This is the world we're living in. You be careful, otherwise this is what happens. There's no two-way about it. There's no sentimentality about it.
It's sad. So now let's move on. Just this past Friday, we saw that the Mansakunda Town Hall meeting this year featured the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ministries are going, it's going so quick, and Momodu Tangara was on there, you know, talking about the fact that he admits, according to the newspaper, that some political appointees are stumbling blocks at embassies. We've had this conversation before. At the level of the diplomatic corps, you know, the individuals who are often appointed based on, you know, political appointment. For example, nit def na dara nga jël ko nga ne okay nañ ko yóbbu foreign service. Because generally, loolu dafa ñëw mujjee nekka dañ ko normalize. Comme nit suñ ko daaxee sa ngay waxtaana nit da ngaa dégg mu ne la oh daaxaan nañ ko waaye most likely dañ ko yóbbu redeploy yóbbu ko si diplomatic service bi. So the diplomatic service now foofu la conversation they amee dialogue on national interests between two countries. Should it be that? Well, it shouldn't be that way. Well, but then the minister now admitting that it's a stumbling block is a bit.
Internally, internally, comme nationally, Lulu, ñun gis nañ ay CEO yoo xam ne ñëw nañ talk on television, you know, ñu ne ñoom waaw jël nañ bribe, understand nga, you know, am na ku leen bribe jël nañ ko, you know, accept nañ ne ñoo ko jël, but at the end of the time gis nañ ñu move leen, you know, to another area. So da nga gis ne loolu nekkul ci suñ diplomatic ties yi sax waaye mu ngi happen within you know, our national
it's
setup
used as a way to compensate people now.
You mean a dumping ground?
Kind of.
Or whatever. It cannot be a dumping ground, quite obviously. But like them to services, then they accumulate so much experience. That's the whole idea. You've accumulated so much experience that if a young man represent in a mature way, so judgment will be refined. So you may know like you are redugal into the diplomatic service, but not as a dumping ground. And the fact they acknowledge Nalulu, one wonders, okay, why? Why was it happening? Who do we blame for that? How did the mistakes occur? So that in itself would generate so many questions surrounding it. But you know,
it's unfortunate that why luneka happen. So Parliament vows transparency in probe of Jammeh asset sales. I just said to myself, I cannot miss that extraordinary seating by the National Assembly on the sale of Jammeh's assets, the Jammeh Commission. So there's already a composition of the select committee or special committee that has been set up to look into the sales of Jammeh's assets.
It is a select committee.
It's a select committee, yes.
Whatever.
But then, you know, obviously, I'll bring the gender dimension because Tumanjai, you know, stood up at some point and talked about the fact that she felt like, you know, it's not gender sensitive. The committee is not gender sensitive. There's no female. And then, you know, obviously, the fact that she mentioned that, other parliamentarians also pointed at the fact that that is not an issue. It's not a problem that there's no female to ensure that there's, you know, gender sensitivity.
That is the committee.
That's the committee.
The investigative committee being set up.
I go rekla. Amut ay jigen.
You know.
Ben jigen sa neko fa. So tuma mu ne hana amuñ fa ñi nga xamne mu war nañu mëna bokk ci committee bi nak.
Competent enough to
competence bi moy problem bi ndax dañ leen sideline.
Well, you
see patriarchy generally.
No, you see ñun in the Gambia fi things dafa xawa sad when it comes to women's right. I mean giving women the chance. Dañ ko dé wax dé dañ ko dé advocate bu baax. Why deep inside we don't leave it.
Okay.
You understand? So be it si suñ office yi, be it si suñ you know, different environments yi, whether we are going to do it. I mean, for how long have we been talking about you know, to be equally I mean gender equal in the National Assembly, where at some point you know,
am na ñu ñëw ne discrimination la ak yooyu. Why remember Parliament before na 5 jigéen a fa nekk suma fenute. 5 jigéen waaye dañ ne 5 jigéen ni bu dee kenn according to Tuma kenn ñu jox ko fa pour gender sensitivity bi waaye do you think gender sensitivity bi fii am na any role or connection to setting up committee bi
yow fàtte nga ne bañ ñëwee pour def certain amendments pour ñu am quota it didn't go through see this is it unless nga am this condition
the quota
ne committee buñ form dinañ fa jéem a include at least benn jigéen you see unless it's one of your criteria pour ni ngeen di former select committees
pour mu mut
then it's not gonna happen
waaye loolu fooguloo loo bi su ko baakut sax morally
no I'm not sure whether is it a
at
moral
least nañ fa boole jigéen mu am that sense of xam nga
is it a moral issue because I remember in the office as a sample, you know, they were mainly boys, men actually talking about it. One of them said, well, it's not relevant.
Well,
we want 7 competent people, whether you're male or female, it's completely irrelevant.
No, dafa depend, you know, ban committee la guys set up. You understand? Okay, fine. Jigen ak góor yëpp de mun na am jigéen sax at some point moo gën a competent the male, you know, si yenn areas waaye dafa depend tam situation bi ak environment bi whether kan moo fa available pour ñu mun a complete loolu.
Foogu ma ne lii is an issue of availability.
You know, if the male is competent, why not we select the male? If the woman is competent, why not we select the woman? Man waxewuma ko comme dañ war a sideline jigéen yi. Okay, why competency is very significant in this thing. Probably tam jigen yoyu nonu amna ño xamne amuñ interest. Lolu tam mun na am we need to find out, we need to know.
Suñ leen ko waxon dinañ ci bokk. You are assuming and that's unfair.
So in this area, pour ma nek a member of a select committee, what kind of competence are you talking about? góor yi ñu fa teg nii.
ndax competent nañ.
fan lañ gars yi demonstrated seen competence ne dinañ nekk very good members, productive, highly valuable.
Wow, so therefore we need to.
How would you measure?
What are you talking about?
Léegi nag
Mota, we need to know what is their selection mood.
Procedure.
You understand?
Loolu leer.
So ñoom ñoo wara ñoom ñoo ñu wara waxal loolu naka la wara demee. Probably dañ am criteria boo xam ne boobu lañ dee set up.
Ba pare another argument imagine na ne according to ñoom according to some of the parliamentarians dañ aksa gala gis nañ other activists tamit online ñu reject the fact ne committee bi is being headed by a parliamentarian bi nga xam ne National People's Party la jógee. So in this instance loolu tamit is an issue the fact ne parliamentarian yu nekk si biir committee bi seen party affiliation does it really matter? Committee be setting it up and ensuring that there's also transparency. And again, ñu ngi wax ne tam National Assembly bi ndax am nañ doole bi ak pas-pas bi pour mun a def investigation bi rather than ñu indi woon men and women of very independent impeccable character bi nga xam ne dafa nekk outside of the National Assembly ñooñu ñu responsible to do the probing.
Well, select committees be over the years. You know, they investigations and they were coming with recommendations and their findings. So if I can investigate all sorts of issues they have demonstrated over the years, and some of the findings in certain institutions, it was thanks to these select committees and your Hamlin of Odon Gainer. So, yes, we are going to politicize all of these things. Why mature parliaments? So if I can definitely select committee, consider law matters of national significance. Really, my party colors were in your clouds, my judgment. Ideally, that is what we expect. All parliaments in the world, I mean, select committees, they to a party, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
So I don't know what the issue is, NPP members. So what are you telling me? They want to know to an independent judgment. Of necessity, automatically his party colors would cloud his judgment.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether I can accept that either. You know what I mean? People are not like that. We are not that wooden. You know what I mean? So it just depends on how they perform. From there, we have our perceptions about all sorts of things, but it depends on how they perform. The idea that just because Manchi Party be therefore, I cannot come to an independent, dispassionate judgment. I disagree with that as well.
Okay, so anyway, léegi fu mu nekk nii daal fo naa ñoom si ñoom la des ak seen ngor. Ngor biñ am.
Ngor gi nga am.
waaw ngor bi nga am conscience moom nga doxee nga xam ne dafa am liggéey buñ teg sa loxo nga liggéey ko ni mu waree.
Jenaba, at some point, do you think we still have confidence in the ngors? I mean, because if things were done, you know, behind our backs, do you think we will have confidence in the system that?
Why xam nga ñi def loolu?
Different people, different people.
ñi bokkuñ woon si ñu laal bagage.
Fii ñoom 7 la. Kanay député bi Madi Cissé UDP. ñu ngi fa am independence.
ñu ngi fa am Upper Saloum.
APRC.
waaw
ñu ngi fa am NRP.
dañ make sure
am Swaibu Touré, highly respected person.
waaw
ñu bëri sax ñu ngi doon wax ne perhaps
moo waroon a nekk chair.
Still mu ngi ci biir committee bi. So the idea that one person, this chair, NPP member, can really manipulate things. How?
No.
Why?
So what we do?
Mom chair la ba pare chair bi is a ceremonial thing. Final decision su waree am on anything. Amut right pour tamper with any evidence or talk si anything. Ba pare with the Jale Commission tamit ba léegi conversation bi mooy ne 2017, 2018 loolu time bo aside from loolu sax President Barrow speecham bi highlight na ne am na yoo xam ne moom bu lii amee la ko yëg. So in that instant ana party affiliation bi sax does it really matter foofu because kooku contribute directly to jaay bi. Because am na yoo xam ne moom yëgu ko ba pare government a ngay claim because déglu naa si radio bi Ami Bojang si soxom muy joxe benn report ne government Jane commission bi nuñ ko gisee woon mooy comme National Human Rights Commission bi waruñoo intervene si seen liggéey so ñoom dañ leen bàyyi independently si seen will according to luñ fa wax pour ñoom ñu seet naka la ñoo doxalee so loolu su demee ba am nag ñu nekkoon si biir Jane commission bi ñooñu la ñoo hold accountable.
Yes, and mu ngi doon wone tamit ne government bi then perhaps because of the lack of experience.
At a time.
moo tax maybe ñu xoolee ko noonu.
waaw
léegi su ma establish commission.
war naa kooku
li ma miin booy ma bàyyi la ma jox la autonomy.
waaw
mooy seen operational stuff. So regarding policies, the general direction, I will still be in charge. I will be monitoring all of that. While perhaps we've learned a lot since then. So I'm not established.
Wow,
so I must monitor you.
Let's take a look at another interesting headline. I mean, Malen 2026 election will be very interesting. You know, Modu Turo Dabo to join party politics in 2026. I mean, last night I saw this headline, I mean, circulating. Although he said he's not interested, you know, to be president, but he's going to join either the NPP, the UDP, or any other political party. Man,
personally, Mr. Mboj, bima gisee lolu, to me, attention buñ ko nekk di jox, I don't think it's necessary. Si man, necessary would mooy, Modou Touré Darboe, ndawi doomir Gambia la. Dafa am business am. And he could decide to support any political party bi nga xam ne moom dim na fit pour support.
Well, I think you are getting it wrong. Modou Touré Darboe is not like any other person.
No, waxuma any other businessman la si dëkk
is very influential in the Gambia.
How is he influential?
Through his charitable organization.
Waaw loolu am na.
He's been helping, I mean, hundreds and thousands of people in this country. So kooku su ne okay léegi dama bëgga join, for example, the UDP party. Xam nga ne loolu dafa make an influence on the UDP because da nga gis ne ñu bëri they are directly connected to Modou Touré Darboe. So obviously ñooñu yëpp UDP la leen a yóbbu.
Not necessarily.
No, xam nga fii the notion and the concept nuñ dee doxee as Gambians. That's how we are. I mean,
comme ñi moo jox charity yëpp dañoo daw dem foofu.
Not necessarily tam. Because nit yoo xam ne they are connected to Modou Touré and they are loyal people of Modou Touré Darboe.
Loyal people xanaa dafa am daara.
So ñu bëri si ñoom dañoo dem foofu.
dafa am daara wala lan la ba ñoo loyal.
So Modou Touré Darboe is not just an individual.
xanaa moom dafa am daara bi moo recruté ay taalibe begay di ko topp.
Understand loo. Okay. Vision Development Association Foundation.
Wow.
Understand?
Wow.
These people dañ am seen own setup and every year they do different things across the country. You understand? So most of these people are now affiliated to Modou Touré Darboe. So mom joining another party, it's going to add weight to that party. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Do we know ban party la dem?
No, he did not mention that.
Then what is the news?
No, the news is him involving in active politics.
That's no news, man. Tell me the party.
Wow,
tell me your program. Tell me something else.
Fofu la don waxe.
News.
Fofu la don waxe man tam. moo tax ma ne la Mr Mbodj relevance buñ nekk di jox li si man dafa xaw a limité moo tax ma njëkk a wax loolu
non soo ne relevance bi nekkut fa
si suma gis
an elderly person mag kilifa ku mel ni Modou Tro mu ñëw mu ne ok this 2026 dama dugga si politics actively understand nga to you it might not be very relevant but to many people it is very important because he is influential whether ñu bugga ko bugguñ ko is influential
waaye su ma la ne dama dugga in politics waxuma la benn parti xamuloo suma programme what am I going to influence you do
so léegi lan xam nga lan mooy di news there xam nga lan moo nekk di information ñun luñ war a fal la moo dem loolu lañ war a laaj
question nga war a njëkk a laajte
fan la moo dem
bala moo nekk news in
so
answering the question you get your news
suñ waxee lii yëpp xam nga da nga faatee bu ma doon ma ne tey bu nekkee ne join na UDP or NPP or APRC you understand so dafa mel ni dafa indil ñooñu wéet that's what I'm saying
speculate
waaw speculation la time bi but he said it wax na ko and we believe ne it is very influential su nekkee ne join na a particular party.
Fu mu nekk ñu ngi sound like social media not QTV.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's
social media.
No, but
gossipy.
You cannot.
Petty.
Why tam mënuloo génne.
Petty.
Why xam nga Mr Mbodj what we have to understand. Even if we are QTV.
And then
we cannot remove QTV from social media.
And oh yes we can. Oh yes we can.
No, we cannot.
Then I'm editor-in-chief, newspaper.
Why now you are talking about now you are talking about the setup.
You have your standards.
Social
setup media doesn't have any.
The setup. You are talking about the setup. We are talking about the trend.
Oh my God.
Understand? We are talking about the trend here, and we are talking. You are talking about the setup. Fine, QTV is a very fine institution. I'm living editor-in-chief.
Social media, the cheek.
But listen, you people, dengan wara hamne. Okay, social media, there are many things you are hamne. So ne kene report ninko tay wako on social media. At some point, lu bari daf de neka diga.
Lolu mom amna.
So then you are buying. Okay.
So Lina could dig, and how do you deal with that in your scheme?
It goes to the editor-in-chief. It goes to the news department. It comes to you people for you to verify.
Receive na information. He's an influential person. Come knock over here. So from there, kani duñ mëna xam. Mënu ñoo wax lu leer daal. Bañ xam ci ban parti la moo dem. Ak comme Mr Mbodj noo ko waxee. Lan moo ko war a dem loo si parti boobu. Ak moom su fa duggee. Lan la fa mëna influence.
Lan la fa indi. Understand nga? Why for the fact that okay it's not very relevant man lolu bayu my idea it's really I don't know
waxuma mom relevant
xawma ko musuma ko mit but I think
ara ñu leral wax bi waxuñ ne mom as a human being relevant de dañ ne
it's not news lolu is not important
luñ mean moy ñun dinañ doon prefer ñu gëna wax ñu ne ci political party bi la mo dem na seet na programs and activities of political parties mu ñëw ne ñu this is where I'm going to ñun loolu lañ gënoon a bëgg a gis dan waxuñ moom as a human being pour mu leer
yow da nga ne loolu nit ñi nuñ ko nekk di lifine it shouldn't be like that like
because
it's not very
comme Mr Mbodj waxee aagaagut si level buñ ko war a mun a gën a high pay
to many people that is news like to many people that is important
waa léegi
you know
no
so
problem
loolu la rek dafa depend ku nekk ak noo ko gisee all right you got it
earlier on ngeen xam nga ñun Gambians ñu dee xalaatee
waaw
waxal sa boppa Gambia dafa bari façon
dafa bari different levels dama xam Gambia nuñ dee xalaatee
xamal sa place
mu ngi noonu
tay dama xam Gambia nuñ dee xalaatee
xam nga ñu ngi doon wax about diplomatic corps bi ñu ngi doon wax about embassies yi rek ma gis point newspaper ne Mamboure Njie former minister of finance ñu ngi ko jël pour mu nekk ambassador to Saudi Arabia moom nekkoon na former minister fii nii fu mu nekk ni ñu appoint ko mu dem nekk ambassador to Saudi Arabia waxuma ne specifically moom appointment am bi dafa link to lan lañ fi discuss but luñ fi doon discuss tam mooy majority of xëy na ministers yuñ dee saak ak directors yuñ dee saak they end up si diplomatic mission bi as something like this I was just pointing at that because it was a discussion that we had but thank you so much Mr Mbodj for joining us on the program tey nag ni nga mel neexuma
right
xanaa amuloo cup of coffee tey da nga xaw a tayal de lu xew
Yes, though always muna make a top speed all the time. Sometimes it drops a bit. That's the nature of life.
Why am nga coffee tay?
No, tea, Lana.
Tea?
Tutti regular this morning.
Okay, well, I believe na so I make coffee, mom.
I'm all right. I am at an even keel. I like the way it is.
Okay. No, man, Mr. Mbodj lay wor man holal. Mr. Mbodj man mala jël bugal la suma bopa. Lolu leer.
Mr. Mbodj mu la na.
Waaw, mala jël mu ne man ma jël Mr. Mbodj tek ko suma xol bugal Mr. Mbodj suma bopa. Ah? Yow moom waxuma sa mbir yow.
Man suma mbir doo ko mën a wax.
Waaw, man yow waxuma sa mbir. But thank you so much, Mr. Mbodj, for joining us on the program. So, Ibrahima, from this, we will be joined by the members of the Gambia Bakers Association. So, if you've been following Bakers Association, so if you've been following... so, if you've been following, bu dee yéen a ngi follow the trend of discussions yu nekk di am di ngeen gis ne there's a particular negotiation bi nga xam ne stage on nañ ko because jaaykat yi association bi dañ bëggoon a yokk mburu to $15 léegi bu loolu amee ñu ne ok léegi nañ negotiate so bu negotiation bi amee according to reports yu nekk di am government ñëwati na génnee press release ne in fact $15 boobu noonu du am bread price dafa stick to $10.
That was the Minister of Trade.
Exactly, through the Ministry of Trade, Babakar Oju. So, from nekk ni association bi dinañ ñu join wax ñu lana xew si negotiation bi naka la fa demee ba government génn ak seen press release
ak fan la gaay taxaw
ak ñoom tam fan lañ taxaw because ñoom ñu ne 15 government ne si 10 bi la moo stop so yëpp dina leer nañ dem break suñ dellu see ñu gën a waxtaan.
We'll be back.
Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
Kiusel moy suñu boss. Kiusel moy suñu boss. Kiusel moy suñu boss. Soru go ebe dawa full network suda tili QCell ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell most reliable network dumala geta wati QCell wo quality man nyon soda jam ona manke QCell hani be wulo ni farole kono walante be bakono jala fayola network ko se taria QCell suñu boss ñu fi njëkka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G 5G first and only 5G provider suñu boss itela follow adi doron nesa keno Gambia bela nyon tawa fele QCell ko fason tawa buka busi QCell itela moldi milka kukutol nati Gambia QCell meda lori la kilianol yele imanyina amanda wala itela ka quality dila dadi ma itele silo wala wodol mume be keno ma QCell suñu boss QCell suñu boss QCell suñu boss QCell suñu boss Conex solo be bambandi QCell suñu boss QCell most innovative QCell suñu boss
Kiwmoni arti webi nafitoragol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi Kiwmoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa hendade mbuuɗi maɗin e o Kiwmoni app kesong a wawa nattinde mbuuɗi ma ɗum yaltina soda crédit soda kiw power soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ina wawi kadi nuldude Kiwmoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuuɗi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuuɗi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu Kiwmoni customer care e 133 Kiwmoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki Kiwmoni e muruntananne koteke anilañi mobile app soneyari o a lannayata ndun e sekuwol be keno ibe dawoda wati o wati e se munafanno ila kodola anin Kiwmoni la ñim mobile app kuto ise kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde ise credit ko sanno ye Kiw power sang ye fengol sang ndun fanan ise mol jono anin ku jamalu ise Kiwmoni kino yela bilol jo ndun fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno ise kodo fanan kino do kotenye pour que munafanyina a download sign play store anin app store ni laftaka kusenango soto je Kiwmoni customer care commandi 133 Kiwmoni suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma.
Welcome back from that short break. Comme balaa ñoo dem si break bi nu ma leen ko waxee rek fii dañoo ñëw am fii nii the association of bakers and ñu ngi fi am Mr Lamin Diba moo nekk secretary general bi ba pare ñu ngi fi am Mr Jallow tamit jërëjëf si li ngeen ñëw fii tey pour leeral so comme ni ma ko waxee woon rek génnoon ngeen wax ne da ngeen bëgg a price bread mu nekk $15 bu loolu amee government ne nañ negotiate yéen ngeen génn ak ñoom di negotiate waaye after si digga bi rek ñu gis ne government tam génn nañ ak seen press release wax ne mbuuru in fact dafa remain $10 du $15 bi ngeen wax yéen so pour ñu njëkkee rek négociation bi ñu wax nii mun nga ñoo enlighten Mr Diba lan moo fa xappu noonu ba nga xamante ne after government ñëw nañ génn seen press release because xëy na ooyoon nañ ngeen def seen négociation dinañ doon expect ne da ngeen di def joint press release mooy ne bakers ak Ministry of Trade bokka génnee press release si benn taxawaay waaye loolu amut so négociation table bi ñun bëgg nañoo xam lana fa xam
jërëjëf Jenaba jërëjëf to my brother as well Mr Balde comme noo ko waxee nii Bakers Union is the Bakers Union not the Bakers Association
waaw Bakers Union waaw
National Bakers Union
waaw
lu nga wax ni loolu mooy dëgga demoon nañ through a process ñun nag at the National Bakers Union duñ dee jékki-jékki jóg def without following due procedures ñun ak the Ministry of Trade ñoo booloon after press release bi the first one when we said we are going to increase comme buñ ne dañoo yokka joxoon nañ letter balaa ñoo jël decisions ñu jox an ultimatum loolu noonu dem dégguñ den ñun ñu def lu ñu doon def waaye delsi nañ ñun ak ñoom ñu taxaw waxtaan si waxtaan bi nag ñu jox leen cër bu mu sëkk pour ñun ñëpp ñu dem through a process seegaat lu nekk si secteur bi ak lu tax ñun ñu waxoon price bi dañ koy yokka si diggante boobu noonu jointly ñëw nañ def a committee bu nga xam ne it's through the Ministry of Trade led by Director Mr Bojang where National Bakers Union executive si nekkoon nañ si that particular unit pour waxtaan where jël nañ ñetti nit from the National Bakers Union which the president was and the Standard and Quality Director and a representative ku jógee si Tafalapa unit bi tamit booloo the Gambia Competition Commission seen experts and also Ministry of Trade experts ñetti these 6-man team ñoo set up ñun yëpp ñu toog si table comme suñ de négociation ñun yëpp ñu ngi ko xamee waxtaan la si diggante ñaari parti lu nga xam ne am na luñ seexa si kaw table bi lu ñooy seetaat fekka su ñoo génn si loolu yow di nga am lu nga bugga man dina am lu ma bugga yow loo fi wax si sa introduction bi which is very important loolu mooy woon suñ agreement suñ jotoon na waxtaan suñ paree comme nuñ defee price at the time ñu ne ok kaay leen ñu toog ñu waxtaan ñëwaat si askan bi because ñun yëpp askan bi la ñooy saaf buñ ne ok dañ koy def jointly nekkuloo woon indi mediation nekkuloo indi negotiation but xam nga procedure si nakal the right thing was ñun yëpp suñ demee ba ñoom ñu ñëw to this decision ñun ñoo ko war a def together notwithstanding comme léegi-léegi nii nuñ nekk di waxee nii table nañ our disappointment already where we have to buñ demee ba bridge negotiation procedures yi already as we speak loolu mu ngi si the table of the ministry is also copied
léegi lu ma bëgg a xam mooy waxtu bi bariwul lan mooy xew léegi ñoom génn nañ ten bi mooy taxaw as government léegi yéen fan ngeen taxawaay yéen lan mooy seen taxawaay léegi ndax yéen tam da ngeen di génn ne 15 bi mooy taxaw wala da ngeen di dem ak ñoom seen kaddu
non fu mu nekk nii ñun suñ askan bi moo ñu fa def like members of the National Bakers Union buñ defee that release ba tey from the 14th ba tey si engagement si ak feedback si yëpp data buñ joxee ñun ñoo dem jëli data bi together waaye am na place bu nga xam ne doesn't truly reflect the reality si secteur bi lu nga xam ne wax nañ ko nekkul télévision rek lañ ñëw wax ko balaa ñoo ñëw fii wax nañ ko foofu suñ members yi nag lu fa nekk with regards to price ak ñoom data buñ wax ñun ñoo ko jëlandoor but am na fu nga xam ne juyoo am na fa so $10 bi ñoom ñoo ko report ne foofu lay taxaw because ñoom data buñ jël analyse ko jël ko as a baseline ñu ne supportut pour increment ñun pour mu nekk 15 ñun si suñ members yi ñun xam nañ naka lañ nekk di dundee from the beginning up to date so it's like it's not an agreement loolu la ñuy wax ni fii directly ñoom announce nañ but nekkul an agreement
kon léegi xam nga pour mu leer Mr Jallow wax ñu lan ngeen nekk di dunda because tey for example bread mu ngi nekkoon $10 defu leen ko $11 defu leen ko 12 defu leen ko 13 ngeen dem ba 15 like lan moo warant increment bi $5
waaw exactly
$5 boobu lan moo ko warant because xëy na di ngeen mënoon a wa $12 waaye ngeen romba loolu yëpp ngeen benn mburu 15 comme lan moo ko warant lan ngeen nekk di dunda li nga xamante ne moo skyrocket seen expenses yi ak yooyu ba léegi ngeen ne $5.
Thank you very much.
ba pare quality bi di seen mburu bi la moo nekk wala soo leen ko defee $15 dafa am increment comme dañoo gis mburu bi mu gën a baax.
dañoo yokk poids bi.
poids mburu bi o mburu bi fu mu toll foofu la mooy toll.
jërëjëf si laaj bi. te dunda bi moom jafe bu tar boo déggee jafe bu tar mburu yombut te lu ko liggéey yombut.
ok
loolu moom ñëpp a ko xam. dugal si fuur nga nekk si tàngoor boobu noonu job nga pare gisoo loo liggéey soo wàccee doo gis dara. loolu moom is very difficult.
ok
for a layman to understand.
waaw
te ñun xam nañ ne how sensitive that sector is ak mburu lum nar si biir dëkk bi ak lum war tamit si biir dëkk bi.
ok
soo gisee suñ naataangoo yi. ñu fa teg ñoom dañ laajte 15 waaye suñ force negotiation with government ñun bu ñu xoolee dañ dellu ñu demaan si table bi ñu calculer bi xool ne dëgg 15 bi ñun tamit ñu bàyyi xel si askan bi. ci lañ wax ne 13. 13 lañ annoncé woon.
13 ok
understand waaye our members demanded 15 waaye ñun di executive ñu scrutinize things ba level ko joxe 13 moo taxoon ñu génne ñu joxe press release ne dinañ jaayee mburu bi from the bakery
Mr Jallow doguma la waaye foog ñu dogante foog because dama bëgg ñu jël li step by step ñu understandante ba léegi man waxanguloo ma danga ma ne tàngoor tàngoor bi xam nga loolu is one thing waaye man fi ma nekk di waxee mooy
foo nekk di waxee foofu cost of the direct cost
bagage yi nga xamante ne moom ngaa dugal si mburu bi ba mu nekk mburu
dama la ko somalation foofu noonu rek pour nga
waaw waaye nan gën a leer
pour mu gën a leer
waaw
the cost starté ko si farine level les how to call it improver yeast mata courant gasoil yëpp a yokk from 2019 ñu ngi jaayee $10 up to date tarif yëpp yokk nañ percentage bi is calculated clearly government bu mu daawtee xamutoon la moo fa nekk dañ ànd ak ñoom ñu construct a task force team ñu dem ñu gis direct cost bi ñoom seen boppa ñu gis buñ ko dugalee formula bi buñ ko dugalee dañ gis ne mburu dafa war a yokk ñoom seen boppa they know it really waaye what they did was after our engagement from ministry yow xam nga ne weight and measure is there is under your own roof nga bàyyi bañ pare ñu indi clean data bi ñu tegal la ko nga jékki-jékki yow nga yóoni ñii nga ne leen dem la ngeen jëlil ma poids mburu bi ngeen indi obviously ku la wax ne man damaa yokkali xam nga ne directly bread musuta yokka price am te yokkuñu weight bi léegi ñoom ñu yóoni ñu ne weight and measure ñoom dem indi weight boo xamante ni ñu ne di real weight yu nekk ci biir market bi doo sin tali with the increment buñ nekk di laaj
waaye mburu
te ñoom buñ demee
mburu yi according to li ñoo dégg tamit si nit ñi ñu ne mburu bi xëj na qualité bi tam dañ ko war a seetaan
of course
parce que for exemple tapalapa léegi mu ngi wow koŋ tapalapa ngi sew seen four soo ko dogee man damaa wa as a journalist damaa wa as a consumer parce que Gambie ñun ñëpp xam nañ ne fii mburu la ñuy dundee boo xaree seen four bi nga ubbi ko literally time boobu noonu time yi xale soo xaree seen four da nga lay génnee lu fa lee nekka nu mu tudda am na lu fa dee nekka da nga ko dee mën a génnee nga lekka ko waaye léegi loolu amatut soo léegi quality bi tamit balaa ngeen di yokka ngeen seetaat yéen tam seen boppa
before that we have already
balaa ngaa ñëw si loolu
waaw
quality booy wax ni as the National Bakers Union buñ commencé
waaw
first balaa ñëw wax price ñun suñ first
standard and
statement which is still our statement is standards and quality balaa ñu price we started with first our factories buñ am make a general assessment of realities of flour products ak nu mu fi nekkee
waaye boo leen ko defee lan ngeen si gis
population bi moo la jox feedback
moo ñu nekk di jox
waaw lan la leen population bi wax
population bi luñ gis ne flour bi dem na to a point ñu ngi def seen best mu ngi increase si Ramadan bii nii fii ask anybody ku nga xam ne mu ngi doon consume bread you can see the difference pour bu ngay wax ni it is the only means to tell you the reality that the bakers are using to manipulate
pour mun
a am si dara that is one
ñu
sewloo mburu the second thing that is happening if you put all your cost structures si biir nga gis sa production nga gis loo dee génne the only thing you can do to manage which I can quote from the first day bu ma doon reference pour waxtaan seet yan ay gaps si secteur bi ak naka lañ koy jointly adressé at the Weights and Measures Department, they have a department. They are very okay to enforce. But ñoom tamit they were limited because xam nañ ne am na lu mu nekk si sector bi ni reality is the rules are there, bread regulation is there, am na a weight bu mu wax categorically. But soo gisee is not enforced, limitations bu fa nekk ñun yëpp xam nañ ko. Those limitations nag pour waxtaanee ko ñun as sector players, the authorities who has policies and all other regulatory bodies ñun ñoo mun a def that difference pour mu dem. Mburu léegi ni su mooy dem across, it goes with the wheat. Pour wax la another example, the reality is the consumers, ñun yëpp we are consumers. We are talking at some point as executive attend unit, but we are consumers. Mburu bu may jënd at a point, maybe xam naa si dara, dinaa seegaat fan laay jënd ak naka laay jënd. But maybe Geneva su bëggee jënd moom the easiest access bu am boobu la moo jënd. Because dafa am lu nga xam ne xamul ko si. But the reality bu fa nekk, we want to protect everybody, but ku koy liggéey su demee ba point bu nga xam ne lu ko desee mooy mu liggéey because dafa am pour liggéey rek. Lu bari mooy fay compromise.
So léegi man lan lu ma jaaxal mooy government bi mu ne 10. Yéen seen intention mooy pour ngeen yokka ko. Léegi what is the way forward?
The way forward is like, we want to say it clearly, the negotiation is alive, is active. That's what they should understand. In the last statement, Mumfa, comme nu ma ko waxee si ministry and other places, government am na all the tools, all the possibilities pour naka la ñooy defee mu nekk in a way bu nga xam ne it will be a win-win both for the bakery union members, for the population, and even for other sector regulators. Lii lu fi nekk la ñoom am nañ si wàlla ñun am nañ si wàlla ñun yëpp fuñ am wàlla yow mënu lay jékki-jékki rek toog dog am na nooy dogee soo ma gaañee te man lu ma bugg a nekkul noonu mun naay toog yow am nga doole am nga lu waa ñun yëpp saroon lañ nekk but we are serving the population te ñun dañ am a social contract with the whole nation tey nii if there is no bread starting from everywhere man am responsible su ma néeg duñ am mburu like yow like keneen so we are very aware of that.
Nañ talk about comme que ñu ngi wax about tamit ay increment nañ talk about yeneen realities yi for example hygiene in terms of bread bi ñun ñëpp gis nañ ne Gambia fuur yi dañoo nit dafa jël raydaam dugal fa mburu bi sarse ko fa duñ sol glove dañoo jël mburu bi ñu téye ko ak seen loxo seen bee loxo ñu téye mburu bi dugal ko ba pare ñu jël mburu bi def ko si rayda di ko transport si bitig bi ngelaw bi is open it's not very hygienic damaa wax suma diggante ak yàlla because man tamit consumer la yaa ngi understand naka yéen association bi naka ngeen nekk di make sure yéen bread bi mu am that sense of hygiene xam naa ñeenay dañoo naan waaw James make black man fa dem nañ ba miin ko déedéet dem nañ ba miin ko waaye jamono loolu ay waxi ka jànka-jàng la waaye bu dee dañoo dem si diggantaan other countries ñu ngi improve in terms of hygiene naka lañ dee handle bread te nekkul ñëpp a am xaalis pour dem si proper bakery bi nga xamante ne dañoo sol glove jox la sa mbuuru so naka ngeen nekk di defee on the side of the bakery ñoom seen hygiene practices si naka ngeen ko nekk di enforcer foofu noonu because dañ dee handle bread anyhow.
Thank you very much. Like food safety is the regulatory body when it comes to the hygiene and then the standard of the bakery.
Wow.
So by health, ñoom seen bopp where they are challenged as the union. Loolu moo tax ñu we put all the bakeries under one umbrella.
Wow.
And then we have already go through a process up to this level. Ñoom hygiene aspect buñ nekk di wax food safety the way we engage with them. Fuñ am challenge we always mitigate and then make sure that that person meet that standard. Waaye nit ku nekk di am naka la muy ñëwee to that level. Yaa ngi jaay every day yaa ngi lose. Every day you are going in for lose. Looy cheat on the weight, you are cheating on the population, cheating on me, cheating on everybody. And we are all paying our taxes. Understand? Léegi yow soo nekkul di am nooy def.
Well, loolu excuse.
No, it's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse. I'm just coming there. Waaye xam nga doo mën a wax loolu. No. Am nga ko replace on si affaire hygiene.
No. Hygiene aspect bi we are not compromising on it.
Exactly. That's the first language.
That's the first language. Da ngeen di collaborate ak food safety ngeen def rounds. Parce que ñu ñëpp si community lañ nekk gis nañ bakery yi si biir dëkk bi nuñ mel.
Léegi pour ñu put leen to that standard.
Mr. Abatija, let me come. Pour ñëw direct to that. Dinaa la quotal man dama lay quotal examples with evidence.
Waaw.
Gis nga bu ñu ñëwee to standards. Hygiene is one of the biggest thing that we don't compromise. ñun jël nañ example with bakeries when we went round on a spot check more than 3 or 4 bakeries yu nga xam ne condition bu ñu leen fekkee ñun su suñu boppa ñoo immediately take actions giving them an ultimatum. The second one that we are doing comme handling boo nekk di wax di suppliers and others loolu discuss nañ ko at a point and Standard Bureau am nañ a programme which has already highlighted clearly naka ngay handle mburu naka la mburu di demee food safety regulatory authorities as well with time inshallah as partners these things are things that are in the pipeline te yéen yëpp di ngeen ko gis with time.
man de as a Gambian citizen man as a consumer bañu ma seen yokka mburu waaye yokka mburu bi su waree am I should see benn improvement bi nga xam ne lu maa lekka is hygienic jar na ko ak yooyu noonu because there was a time food safety génne woon nañ amoon nañ conversation ak ñoom ñëwoon nañ fi ne mburu sa in fact fi mu nekk nii duñ usati newspaper di ko koove xaw ma ndax food safety ñu maasetaan ay at mun naa wa ñetti at toog nañ fi invite nañ leen wax nañ fi wax yu rëy si affaire yi jël naka la tuddaati newspaper di ko koove mburu te loolu yéen moom nekkut seen mandate ñoom seen responsibility la waaye ba léegi gisuñ any effort or anything whatsoever ba tikki ba léegi newspaper bi nga xam ne nit jël na loxo mu téye ko def ko lu ko saf loolu lañ dee
dinaa la si dinaa ko si yokkal wala balde di ñëw gis nga food safety and regulatory authorities bi Standard Bureau even weights and measures as we are currently speaking sa concern bi is our concern is generally our concern fu mu nekk in the sector du nekk comme dañoo toog rek di ko seetaan bi rest assured already in the food safety strategic work plan this year 2025 am nañ ko as a component
pour bu ñu use newspaper
not just newspaper but going through a particular procedure bu nga xam ne it will be bread regulation including procedures handling and even processing from the bakery the person working on it his hygiene the place it is produced its condition loolu yëpp mu ngi fa clearly fii du waxtaani kese la National Bakers Union ñëw yu def or the authorities ñun maintain nañ an open dialogue with them te put nañ everything on that desk and we are ready and they are ready as we are speaking they are on the
so
I can tell you that
how often tam ngeen de engage seen members yi comme ngeen all in maybe a yearly meeting or maybe every 6 months pour ngeen mun a toog ngeen waxtaan
Mr. Diallo
because balaa Diallo di ñëw soo gisee ma ree suñ members yi
it's every week
it's every Saturday we are in a discussion every Saturday all the focal persons report to the office they give updates yow su ma la waxee yaa nekk Talinding as a focal person yow is your responsibility to see and tell us what is happening at Talinding including what is not okay every Saturday we have that meeting
time bi jaamu nañu waaye man dafa am benn laajte bu ma bëgg a laajte time xale Balde dafa am lu ñu gëmloo woon bu ñu nekkee xale dañ ñu gëmloo woon ne defarkati taapalaapa yi tànka lañ dee use
amul
loolu waxin la rek
loolu
wax la
waaye man xoolal ma ne man dañ grow up soo xoola si koñ yi ñu ne waa defarkati taapalaapa yi dañ dee use bathtub bu ñu use ba pare
xam nga jeena ba nit ñi dañ de man I grew up in a bakery environment.
No, I know that's not it, but I just needed to bring it as a joke. Because
bathtub yoo dee wax noonu.
Bathtub yi.
Of course daf dee am waaye.
Bathtub bu nit sangoo ba
waaye yu ees la.
yu ees la.
yu ees la. bi nga xam ne dañ ko jënda bu ees. Otherwise wooden lañ dee lifin ko. waaye lii bu ees buñ jënda la.
buñ jënda la. waaw di time xale we were made to believe all of these things. Obviously that's not true. But I know kids still might have that concept in their head.
xamuloo ne man suma benn side bi boulanger la. dama dee mun a dóor mburu.
yow dimbale ñu kañ nga musa defar mburu kii musuta defar mburu ku ko jox du dox mburu bi du ñor soo ko ubbee si biir su ko defee mburu bi du ñor ba thank you waaye yéen béykat yi da ngeen am xaalis xoola classe boo leen am sanse nii
waaw
Bakers Union yéen amu leen dara loo leen wax xoola ni ngeen mel xoola Bakers Association
at the end of time mburu is an
yow di nga ko answer balaa
baax na nañ dem rek Bakers yi Bakers yi rek lay
waaye jeena wa mburu is a demand
mburu is a demand yi xaalis rek lañ am te dégg naa majority of them ñaar ñetti jabar
no waaye mburu is a transport
dégg naa loolu tamit dégg naa loolu but thank you so much for joining us on the program and we will follow the negotiations that is happening currently with the Bakers Union and the government, and we will, do our best to update the public accordingly. Thank you so much for joining us. We will go for a short break, and when we come back, the show continues. Do stay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Taking a break isn't about stopping, it's about recharging for the next stage. Welcome to our oasis.
Powered by Africa, Oris Energies.
Humani Delsina ak seen mobile app bu bees bii óor na gaaw na te it mun nga koo jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun ngaa jot sa xaalis ak Humani mobile app bu bees bii mun ngaa dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Q Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bëri mun nga ci yónnee Humani fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Humani customer care si 133 Humani suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa
Oryx Service. Top teamwork for top performance.
Powered by Africa, Oris Energies.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now, Ibrahim, we're shifting our attention to the Your Mill project, an initiative to promote the inclusion of young women in the media by providing them media and information literacy. And this has been happening for months now in the Gambia. And I believe they should be wrapping up very soon. And they are working on the first media guide for young women in the media, as well as having the first summit for young women in the media as well. And we are joined by Banna Sabali, who is the project coordinator, as well as Nima Jadama, who is the project initiator and content lead. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us on the program. It has been a marathon seeing you guys all over social media, ensuring that, you know, you're training young women and all of that and putting the guide together. Must have been really exciting. But Banna, to start with, you have been on the ground before we get to Nima and coordinating everything, you know, at the local level. How has it been? You know, what has changed the perspective of these young women prior to engaging them as part of the project, giving them all the information literacy, you know, techniques and information that they need?
So thank you very much, Balda and Jenaba. It's always nice to be here. So YOMIL, as you rightly mentioned, it's called Young Women in Media and Information Literacy Initiative. So we started last year in June, but we officially introduced the project in September. So all along we have been going. We went to every corner of this country, I mean every region, from Basse down to the Combos. And the aim was to ensure every young woman knows the information and how to use that information as means of providing career paths for them, and also to ensure that when we are talking about inclusivity, when we are talking about women empowerment, we know ourselves to be able to call on to those issues. But if you look at the project in deliverables itself, what we were doing in the regions is train young people. We were training them on media and information literacy. We were training them on digital literacy. We were training them on women empowerment issues. So it was a whole lot of topics that we covered, and there was something that came out after every region that we have been to. So you will realize in regions like the URR, there is a belief that men do not allow their women to work.
Why URR? So I'm a man from URR.
Example la ngi ni wa harama dal tay parce que ñima daf mali bala ma bay ma dal tel nañ dem
amna mom nanguna lolu. So these were the voices of women in URR. So in formulating a guide that you just mentioned, because it is going to be the first media guide for young women. So it has to be so much reflective and relatable to the communities that we are talking about. So if you go to these communities, we are supposed to hear from them, we are supposed to train them. So when you look at regions like URR that I mentioned, their issue is men not allowing their women to work. And as a result, some women do not even see the need to be lettered, to go to school. So it means such kind of initiatives are very much crucial. Like, people need to be taught on the importance of media and information literacy.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day,
but in URR, did it, because the problem is men not allowing women to work, were you able to bring about any changes in concept, at community level?
So the change there is usually women don't even talk about it.
Oh, and now they're vocal about it.
So now they are open about it. They were even able to host for the first time their own radio show.
Oh.
Well, I think, Banna, I got a different perspective, and I tend to disagree with you. I'm from URR, and I was the one that set up the first FM station in URR, Unique FM Radio. And I train quite a lot of young women today, and most of them are the ones running different shows. But I don't know the people that you engage and you talk to. But talking to few people too cannot represent a whole lot of people. I don't know the people that you engage, probably the region that you visited. But for URR itself, where I am from, Basse, its town. I mean, I've trained quite a lot of young women in the media, the likes of Baby J. You can count a lot of them. I mean,
why right currently are they working in the sector?
So exactly.
Well, most people they are serving and they are very active. I mean,
the media
so that is
so I don't think generalizing it.
No. So when I was talking about this, I am specifically referring to women in media. So I don't talk for all the women, and that is very much important that we know. So if right now you go back to Basse, like I am the SG for the Women Journalists Association, I can tell you there is no woman in the media in Basse.
Currently.
Well, I mean,
so you have done very well in terms of
that would be very surprising.
Yeah.
Because I tried leaving a big trace in Basse.
Exactly.
So if women are not, active in the media again, that would be a very big surprise.
Balde, it means you failed.
No, I didn't fail. I did my best. I did my best.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Yes. So your Balde, Nakabanna, you can conclude.
Exactly. So what I want to say is that the challenges in the media are enormous. So for the fact that if you go to places like Basse, there is no woman hosting a radio program.
Stop mentioning Basse.
Yeah. Those things are very, very serious.
They are very serious.
It's important that when someone is out there and might want to jump in the media and provide support, these are areas that they can tap in. And this is what the initiative is doing, making sure that women know that if Balde trains you on the media, you don't leave, you stay.
Exactly.
You stay and do well and also motivate other people to do
extremely well. But it depends on how these people
it depends on how it
goes.
goes.
I mean, for a woman to stay or any other person to stay in the media, probably it might be an environmental thing. Probably the media be. Being a hamne bobo la instead of fofu nono. Maybe they are not paying them well.
Especially so
let's move on.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you for mentioning URR.
So Nyima, you are the project initiator. It's either it came to you in a dream or, however it came to you. We've had this conversation before. And now you've seen this project as a project initiator shape up. It has shaped up. Everything is going on nicely. The media guide is being prepared. The summit is also coming up, which we'll be talking about. Women have been trained. How does that make you feel, considering the reason why, first of all, you've decided to come up with this project?
I think, first, personally, it's a very good initiative. I am Gambian.
Yeah.
So, of course, if I have the opportunity to give back, I would do this regardless that I don't live in the Gambia anymore. And also considering the fact that I was a journalist and during our time, we worked at a very compiling media industry where we had a dictator, and especially women participation in media was always a question, was always in question. So, when I travel, I had different opportunities, so I felt we could do something back home for women in Gambia. I'm very much happy with the way the project has revolved, especially now that the guide has been produced. We're just waiting on the final outcome of the production. And, it's really amazing for the first time having such by women, for women.
Yeah.
Also, the media summit that we are looking forward to this week, Friday, which would be an annual thing. I must give a big kudos to my team because, I mean, it's also not easy to traverse the 7 regions of the country. Sometimes I'm like, I'm jealous. I've never been to most of the regions in the country. But then I read reports, and it's really amazing how these women are empowered. For example, also in Sierra, there was a report, I think it's only 1 female journalist. And some of them, they've never been on air. So I think it's a great empowerment for someone to listen back to your voice, to say, oh, I did this, oh, I am amazing, oh, I can do more, or to share information during the trainings we had, like she said, digital training on gender, human rights, ethics, like you name it. Anything that a woman or a person should be empowered to know information-wise was dealt with. So I think it's always good. For example, I read a report that someone was saying she never knew that she can secure, like, oh, they don't even know how to use Facebook, for example.
Wow.
And they sign up for this, or some of them don't have no idea what it is about. So this is what we actually want to tell them. You have a voice, you have a right, you could be empowered if you want to be empowered. So, you know, we want to get the best out of them. So
and,
I think
and you know
good.
what, Nima? I think you're absolutely right, because last week I was in North Bank, and I had this training with Action Aid, and to my surprise, majority of them are supposed to now be in the media or be communication officers. They don't know anything about TikTok.
Exactly.
I had to teach them, like, from beginning how to open TikTok, how to edit on TikTok and everything. So for people to think that because ñun si combo bi fi, ñun xam nañ yi ni, there's a lot back ñun wara dimbale, because they are not aware and amuñ nimbal bi or amuñ the understanding of what to do. So I think just that is really impactful. So let's talk about the media guide. I know you brought some experts together who, you know, are in the media and others in different sectors to, you know, to come up with ideas, brainstorm, agree to disagree, and came up with this guide that is going to guide, you know, young women in the media, which is a huge milestone.
So the guide actually is one of the biggest output of the project. And what is beautiful is that the guide is not going to be the normal pages that we'll be turning. Everyone is moving digital. If you are using your phone all the time, you might want to use the app instead of the booklet.
Amazing.
So that is what is amazing about the guide. And also considering young people are now more online, like glued to their phones.
They have their phones.
Yeah, so it's important. So the guide actually, if you look at the production, what we are able to do is that we are able to collect from everyone in the regions. The specific target group was press club members. Also, we have journalists. We have, let's say, women's rights activists, people that are cross-cutting, that use the media every day. So they are able to contribute to the guide to say, these are the things that we need, and they should be used in terms of, let's say, if I want to be like Jenaba, what are the kind of steps that I need to take to become what maybe better than what she is.
You know, so you had a conversation on youth dialogue. Is the guide also going to include, obviously, the the challenges, the realities,
it has
the salary scale for somebody to be shown, this is what I'm getting into, this is what I'm going to get?
So it has an entire chapter on career pathways.
I like that.
And best practices. So you would know what is
you're
the
getting
reality.
into. Are you ready?
So whether you are ready, whether even if you are not ready, you are even able to take a shot. You know, sometimes you don't become what you are if you are not bold enough to confront the challenges. So that is what the guide is bringing forward. There is media law, there is ethics, that if you do this while you are on media, this is what comes out of it, because media is all about responsibility as well. So that is what the guide is bringing about. And in terms of domesticating it, we actually had experts. We had 10 experts from different sectors, and these people were the ones who reviewed every chapter.
I was a part of them. Magini at some point. I work on as experts. Man tamit contribute na si guide bi de suma idea fa. Why ñi ma daf ma li.
No, your name is
Hola, daf ma expel. Dama dem ba si kanam mu daaxama.
But we have your name. No, but we have your name. That's a big credit. No, that's a big credit.
We don't put opals on our
Jennifer did very well. She is part of our experts. Although the final expert workshop, she was busy and things came up, she couldn't attend. But mind you, everyone that has contributed on the guide.
So let's talk about how women are going to receive the landscape of media in the Gambia in the future.
Yeah, so how they're going to receive the landscape of the media, one, that is already done through the sprints that we had with them. They inform about the media landscape, of course. That is part of the media information literacy topic that they deal with. And also through this guide, because this guide contains almost everything about media, not just media, but information literacy as well. So, I mean, the idea was for someone, after reading this guide, to be inspired, to say, oh, I want to do this. And not just the guide, another way is also through the we had podcast productions and radio shows. I remember, I think one of my sisters was part of the sprints, and the other one wants to be a doctor, medicine, and the other one wants to be a cabin crew, air hostess. And then I'm like, you have to go to this. And when they came back, I saw them posting on their status, future journalist, one of them, future journalist, who was like, I want to be journalist, I want to be. So that's the idea. You attend a sprint, and at the end, you're like, okay, I am sure this is what I want to do. And then there comes a lot of questions. And also the conference as well. It's a 2-day conference. It's not just about opening statements and so on.
Yes, Nyima, I was going to come to that, because we've done the summits before. We've done the summits tons of times. So what is going to make this stand out? You know, to ensure that it's not the usual that we get to go through as a country?
I think the project is already unique and stand out. It's first. So for me, first mean it's unique
already.
Right? We're not competing, but we want to make sure that whatever we are giving, it's unique, like, wow. This is like the idea that we have. So this is why we do it 2 days. So there will be panel discussions, there would be workshops, there would be sessions about mentorship, about networking, about challenges in media, about why you should join media. We have very, important figures that would be there to deliver statements, like the Minister of Information, the German Embassy, Minister of Women Affairs, and all the women leaders. Yourself, you will be there. So we are so happy that we're trying to motivate these women, not just with very important figures, but also with topics that they would be learning from, because it will also help us to hear from them and then build on that in the subsequent projects in the future.
So the project is phasing out. It's 1 year. So is there going to be any form of sustainability that is attached? I know you partnered with Majak as an implementing partner together. So is there any form of continuity to this? Maybe mobilizing local resources? Or Nyima?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in every start, you want a sustainability of it. So we are officially funded by BMZ, that is the German Ministry of Federation and International Cooperation. It's a 1-year pilot to see if it's okay or so. So I think with the feedback that we have, I think it's really good. And of course, we want it to be sustained. Therefore, we are applying again for the next phase of the project, which will be next year. So, of course, there would be some local stuffs going on, hopefully. This would be announced once we are settled, but the project is officially phasing out end of this month. But towards end of the year, of course, you will hear some issues, some things also going on, and probably from next year, again, to kickstart with what we've been doing. Because the idea is not just for this 1 year, we train 280 women, and the idea is actually to train 1,000 women. So obviously, if it continues, we will train another 280 until we reach the point 1,000, and who knows, we might go beyond that.
So I hope you're able to mobilize resources locally, because governments now are more focused on themselves. You know, we see what is happening in the United States of America. You know, they are now looking inward instead of outward, cutting funding. You know, so it's a time for, brilliant young women like you
to find ways. I mean,
of, locally, how can we ensure that these things get to continue, with far-right leaders coming up every single time. But Banna, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Before you leave, what should we expect? Just to reiterate what Nyima talked about. You know, you are here locally, so
I mean, I think wherever we go, what the women are saying, this initiative should be sustained. And sustainability-wise, others are even saying it should be an organization of its own. And I think that would be one of the biggest things that we would have in the media. Imagine something for women, by women, them doing great things to inspire other people to find the reality is worthy.
Amazing. But Nyima, congratulations to you. You know, as a person who, came up solely with this idea to do this. You know, when you traveled outside of Gambia, you could have decided not to look back because you're already outside, doing what you're doing. but the fact that you looked back as to how you can contribute to the development of your country in a very sustainable way, I think it's a brilliant thing. So thank you for the amazing work that you've done with young women in the media or aspiring young women in the media.
I would actually say thank you to the women who stood by.
Yes.
Thank you to people like you who participated, and a big thank you to Bana and Meta for saying, yes, we want to do this together with you. Because I might have the opportunity, the resources and whatever, but I don't live in Gambia. And if I don't have people on the ground, it will never happen. Thank you to the participants, like students, media workers and communication officers, whoever participated, because they leave whatever they are doing to say, okay, we will join you for 3 days every month in different regions to do this together. So I want to say thank you to these women. Thank you to all the media experts. I mean, our experts are amazing. These are like brilliant, experienced media women like yourself, Julde, and so on, who took their time to review the sprints, also the media guide, you know, share their experiences and so on. So thank you to Gambian women, actually.
I'm glad you said thank you to Meta and Banna. I know how dear this project is, you know, to them, to Meta and Banna especially. You know, they took this, you know, wholeheartedly with a lot of passion, you know, with the way they work, how professional they even work, you know, throughout this project. Me and her don't get along, but you know, you've done well, you know, with this. You know, I guess you're the perfect pick for this.
I mean,
you're the perfect pick for this.
Of course, like I said, because it's the first time we want it unique. So, I mean, the implementation process as well also needed as well. So, honestly, like, I mean, it's not easy to work remotely, and then, you know, having like different time hours,
zones,
different working ethics, and all of that. Even though we are all Gambians, but I must say, like, they really.
Why they go do nak so rek la wuté xam nga dafa deuguer bopa sometimes nga ko ciaw su bañé liggéey
meta la ko bay
nga mom dafa ka wa baye ko meta rek mu rek la ko. But thank you so much and good luck ahead of the summit, inshallah. Is it by invitation or it's open?
You already invited.
No, I mean for other.
No, it's restricted a bit, but we are bringing at least, I think, 100 participants together.
Yes. Okay.
So at least, and these are 56% is actually the participants. So our idea is like these women, especially from the rural areas,
should come
to not just be at the sprints, but also
be part of it.
But interestingly enough, every media house has a representative.
Obviously, So which is fair.
Maybe
enough.
you guys should nominate.
Good luck.
Balne to come.
Good luck. Good luck. We're wishing you a successful summit, inshallah. So that is all we have time for. So Ibrahima, I will join you on Thursday. Julden Jai will be here tomorrow and on Wednesday. Bye for now. See you on Thursday. Bye.